F1, a sport rarely affected by weather, was just affected by weather. Today, we're going to look at Spa and what happened last week on F1 Fridays. In simple terms, the race was canceled. Going into the race week, the conditions were less than ideal, as most weather systems predicted heavy rains. F1 still proceeded with its race weekend, as rain is still considered to be a raceable condition. The Friday practice was completed somewhat cleanly, with a couple of expected spinouts and a couple of nudges into the walls. The Saturday qualifying session was not the same. The rain was noticeably harder, but once again the FIA proceeded to continue. There were huge amounts of spray coming from the cars, making visibility less than optimal. The qualifying session's big headline was Lando Norris crashing on Eau Rouge, as some drivers were calling for the session to be red flagged or stopped when the event occurred. Norris was driving insanely fast all weekend and probably would have gotten pole position, which is when a driver starts the race in first. This ultimately led to Max Verstappen qualifying first, with George Russell following in second and Lewis Hamilton in third. Sunday was no different. After a long-awaited summer break, fans, drivers, and teams were disappointed once again as the day started with rains much heavier than the previous 2 days. With the cars lined up on the grid, there was a 10-minute delay and then a 15-minute delay before the drivers were sent out for the formation lap behind the safety car. After one lap under the safety car, all the drivers returned to the pits because the weather was too bad. F1 had now set a 3-hour deadline where they could wait for the weather to clear before canceling the race. Unfortunately, at the 2-hour mark, there was still no sign of the weather clearing, and most people thought the race would be canceled. With a surprise move, race director Michael Masi sent the drivers back onto the track where they completed 3 laps under the safety car, with the race being red flagged immediately after those 3 laps were finished, and eventually the race never continued. It is important to remember that the drivers are not allowed to pass each other while being led by the safety car, which means that the order of the qualifying was the same order that the race finished in. While no overtakes occurred, Spa was still considered a race, with half points being awarded to the top 10 finishers because of the few laps completed under safety car. This leads us into the controversy. Should this be considered a race, and should drivers be awarded points? It is blatantly clear that what happened at Spa needs to be reviewed. This is because of the way things played out. Obviously, F1 was not prepared for a weather delay this long or this brutal, but there's no denying that the fans of F1 were cheated of a race. The fans at the Spa circuit sat through over 3 hours of delays just to be rewarded with a couple of laps under safety car and a podium celebration. Many believe that F1 should have refunded the fans at the circuit, but the president of F1 proceeded to put all of these responsibilities on the circuit staff. For F1 to even consider the laps driven as a completed race worthy of points and a podium is ludicrous. In my opinion, this is how the rules should be changed. F1 usually spaces its races every other weekend, with there sometimes being even bigger breaks in between races, such as the summer break. F1 should be able to defer uncompleted races for later dates. Obviously, logistics make this hard, so possibly just keeping the same qualification positioning and possibly having 2 races in the same weekend at a different track. Yeah, that's right, I said it. 2 F1 races in the same weekend. This would salvage the qualifying performances of drivers like Daniel Ricciardo, who placed 4th but had a strong chance to increase his positioning. The way that this would work is that on the weekend of the makeup/doubleheader race, drivers would hold a qualifying session on Friday, which would determine the first race position for Saturday. We would also have another makeup race the same Sunday using the qualifying position of the cancelled race. This could make for extremely interesting doubleheader race weekends, especially if the races were held at historically awesome tracks like Monza or Silverstone. If the qualifying session never occurred at the cancelled event, I think F1 should then just move all of the races back a week so then we could put the cancelled race the following week. I know, logistics make it hard, but I really do believe that F1 has the power and intelligence to change the rules, so we don't have another occurrence of 4 laps under safety car being considered an actual race. Surely there's an outcome where the drivers, teams, and most importantly, the fans receive a race that was scheduled and promised. The people of F1 deserve more. Let me know in the comments if F1 should change the rules or keep them the same. As always, peace out, good luck, and have a good day.